Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Dandavat Prabhu. Prabhu, maybe I'll make you host and leave in case I have to leave, because at 9 o'clock I have to leave. Is that okay? Sorry, I'm not able to hear you. No, I cannot hear you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Anat Pranam. Ready, Prabhu?
Yes.
The temple in the Bere.
No, not temple class. It is different.
Okay. Okay, so we'll start. Hare Krishna devotees. We have His Grace Swayam Prakash Prabhu today. Prabhu is going to enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam today. Please welcome Prabhu, and over to you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Harinama Sankirtanam ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha. Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26, Text 9 and 10. Tatra nirbinna gatranam chitra vajay shili mukhay viplavo abuddukkhitanam dussaha karunatmanam. Translation and purport by His Divine A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When King Puranjana was hunting in this way, many animals within the forest lost their lives with great pain, being pierced by the sharp arrowheads. Upon seeing these devastating, ghastly activities performed by the king, all people who were merciful by nature became very unhappy. Such merciful persons could not tolerate seeing all this killing. When demoniac people engage in animal killing, the demigods, the devotees of the Lord, are very much afflicted by this killing. Demoniac civilization and this modern age maintain various types of slaughterhouses all over the world. Rascal swamis and yogis encourage foolish persons to go on eating flesh and killing animals, and at the same time continue their so-called meditation and mystical practices. All these affairs are ghastly, and a compassionate person, namely a devotee of the Lord, becomes very unhappy to see such a sight. The hunting process is also carried on in a different way, as we have already explained. Hunting women, drinking different types of liquor, becoming intoxicated, killing animals, and enjoying sex all serve as the basis of modern civilization. Vaishnavas are unhappy to see such a situation in the world, and therefore they are very busy spreading this Krishna consciousness movement. The devotees are pained to see the hunting and killing of animals in the forest and wholesale slaughter of animals in the slaughterhouses, and the exploitation of young girls in brothels that function under different names as clubs and societies. Being very much compassionate upon the killing of animals in sacrifice, the great sage Narada began his instructions to King Prachina Varshishat. In these instructions, Narada Muni explained that devotees like him are very much afflicted by all the killing that goes on in human society. Not only are saintly persons afflicted by this killing, but even God himself is afflicted and therefore comes down in the incarnation of Lord Buddha. Jayadeva Goswami therefore sings Sadaya Hridaya Darshita Pashughatam. Simply to stop the killing of animals, Lord Buddha compassionately appeared. Some rascals put forward the theory that an animal has no soul or is something like dead stone. In this way, they rationalize that there is no sin in animal killing. Actually, animals are not dead stone, but the killers of the animals are stone-hearted. Consequently, no reason or philosophy appeals to them. They continue keeping slaughterhouses and killing animals in the forest. The conclusion is that one who does not care for the instructions of saintly persons like Narada and his disciplic succession surely falls into the category of Nashta Prajna and thus goes to hell. I'll read the next purport also. Shashan Varahan Mahishan Gavayan Rurushal Yakan Medhyan Anyamscha Vividhan Vinignan Shramamadhyagat. In this way, King Prachina Puranjana killed many animals, including rabbits, boars, buffalo, bison, black deer, porcupines, and other game animals. After killing, the king became very tired. A person in the mode of ignorance commits many sinful activities. In Bhakti Ratamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami explains that a man becomes sinful out of ignorance only. The resultant effect of sinful life is suffering. Those who are not in knowledge, who commit violation of the standard law, are subjected to be punished under criminal laws. Similarly, the laws of nature are very stringent. If a child touches fire without knowing the effect, he must be burned, even though he is only a child. If a child violates the laws of nature, there is no compassion. Only through ignorance does a person violate the laws of nature, and when he comes to knowledge, he does not commit any more sinful acts. The king became tired after killing so many animals. When a man comes in contact with a saintly person, he becomes aware of the stringent laws of nature and thus becomes a religious person. Religious persons are like animals, but in this Krishna consciousness movement, such persons can come into a sense of understanding things as they are and abandon the four principles of prohibited activities, namely illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. This is the beginning of religious life. Those who are so-called religious and indulge in these four principles of prohibited activities are pseudo-religionists. A religious life and sinful activity cannot parallel one another. If one is serious in accepting a religious life or the path of salvation, he must adhere to the four basic rules and regulations. However sinful a man may be, if he receives knowledge from the proper spiritual master and repents his past activities in his sinful life and stops them, he immediately becomes eligible to return home back to Godhead. This is made possible just by following the rules and regulations given by the Shastra and following the bona fide spiritual master. At present, the whole world is on the verge of retiring from a blind materialistic civilization, which may be likened to hunting animals in the forest. People should take advantage of this Krishna consciousness movement and leave their troublesome life of killing. It is said that the killers of animals should neither live nor die. If they live only to kill animals and enjoy women, life is not very prosperous. And as soon as a killer dies, he enters the cycle of birth and death in the lower species of life. That also is not desirable. The conclusion is, that killers should retire from the killing business and take to this Krishna consciousness movement to make life perfect. A confused, frustrated man cannot get relief by committing suicide, because suicide will simply lead him to take birth in the lower species of life, or to remain a ghost, unable to attain a gross material body. Therefore, the perfect course is to retire altogether from sinful activities and take up Krishna consciousness. In this way, one can become completely perfect and go back home, back to Godhead. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Neelachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Mukam karoti vachalam panghum langhayate guru Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you, and I seek the blessings and prayers of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Almost all of you are elder to me by age, by knowledge, practice of bhakti. So seeking all of your blessings, I'll try to share few things based on this verse, whatever I could assimilate based on the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So in this, we are seeing that how when the king Puranjana is going on in the forest for hunting, he sees so many animals, and he is just going on killing them. And with that, all the animals which are under pain, they are suffering. And although they are suffering, he may be seeing that, but still he is not able to feel for the pain of those animals. Whereas those rishis and sages who were there in those forests, who saw that, when they saw that, they were feeling very much pain to see the pain of those the animals. So as Srila Prabhupada also says, the demoniac people, they engage in this killing of the animals, And for that, they modernize the things, and the slaughterhouses they make, and very sophisticated things, so that this slaughtering of the animals can go on. Because even a person who is a meat eater, many times he might have not seen what undergoes behind the scene in terms of how much pain, agony the animal undergoes when it's being killed. And because of that, it just directly comes in a packet without any movement or something, or like any this one. So he may use it. But if they see those, there are many videos wherein if they see that what pain the animal is undergoing in the slaughterhouse, most probably they may stop eating meat. But the slaughterhouse people may not showcase that. Or even the small children, when they see those things, they may not be able to bear that. So, and what happens when this killing of the animal happens? When a person who is constantly killing and eating, and the animal is undergoing pain, still if he is taking that, that means he's not able to feel for the pain of that jiva, and by that the heart becomes hard. And when the heart is hard, then there cannot be any possibility of the bhakti to grow, because bhakti is full of emotions. And that's why the 5 rasas, what we discuss, is nothing but the in different emotions in which one interacts or engages in the service of the Lord. And a hard-hearted person doesn't have any emotions, and then how can he develop any loving sentiment towards the Lord? That is not possible. So that's why Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that like now these days there are various type of slaughterhouses all over the world, and the demonic civilization, they are maintaining it and giving more and more opportunities for it. And Prabhupada says it is not that when we speak of the slaughterhouse, Prabhupada, especially in this purport, is not mentioning that hunting, here the king is hunting. Hunting is not only for the, here he is hunting for the animals. Prabhupada mentions the hunting can be for different things. One may be hunting for women, hunting for intoxication, or hunting for the sex, hunting for the, these are the gross things for the enjoyment of the body. The same way one may be hunting for the subtle things like name, fame, prestige, all these things, or position. For this one may be hunting. And in either case, when a person is involved in the hunting, the heart becomes hard. I was just, when I saw this, I was also curious to know that, to know a little bit of the statistics of what may be the number of animals which is being slaughtered every day. And I just a little bit Googled. I'll share a website which there is in US, there is something called as animal clock. Just like we keep a clock to see the time, they have the animal clock. And I was really amazed to see that what is this one. And this is the one US animal clock. This is the number of animals which has been, it is a clock, just like the clock that second keeps moving, it's not a static. The same way, it is also like you see the number is growing. This many number of animals, 37 lakh 720, no, I don't know how.
37 billion.
37 billion, okay. That many animals have been killed for food this year. Not that like in 2022, in the last 8.5 months, these many years in the United States. And just if I go a little down, it shows the number of animals in the US death statistics. These many 8 billion chickens and 214 million turkeys, and the 36 million cattle, 124 million pigs. Like now, this is a overall this one. And another website I just saw. This also gives like 150 billion animals are slaughtered every year. And it is like when I opened this website, it is since 26 minutes, this website is open. In the 26 minutes, it's continuously running. These many chickens, animals, geese, rabbits, what we are seeing this, like 14,000, 15,000 cattle is killed in the last 26 minutes. And if I refresh this page, just see it becomes 0, and immediately so many fishes are caught. Like see in just 5 seconds, 1 lakh fishes are caught and they're killed. And like in just 11 seconds, 108 cattle all over the world. This is what Prabhupada, when Prabhupada says demoniac civilization, this is what he's meant, that people are ready just for the 2 centimeter long, the tongue, just to satisfy that, they're ready to
Hare Krishna devotees, I think there is a technical interruption. Prabhuji will be logging in again.
now. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you, Prabhu.
Okay. Yes, so because suddenly the power went and the Wi-Fi got this one. So as I was just telling that when a person is taking all this meat and he's not feeling for the pain of these living entities, then how can he feel any pain for the near and dear ones also? That's why the people who eat meat, generally their heart becomes hard. And in that hard-heartedness, they may not mind anything happening to anyone. They'll become sentimentless. So we'll see from the scriptures also a little bit and the examples wherein how or what happened to people who are into these things, or hard-hearted person, how he behaves. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also it comes that when the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, or Chand Kazi comes and stops the Harinam Sankirtan, that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes a procession of all the devotees, first civil disobedience movement, and when he goes to the house of Chand Kazi becomes very fearful seeing the so many number of devotees. At that time, there is a discussion which comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita also about the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asking Kazi about the killing of the cows. He says that, see, we drink the milk of the cow and bulls help in the agriculture, and that way they are like the father and mother. How can one kill the father and mother? And Kazi goes on to give reason that just like you accept the Vedas, we have Quran, and as per the Quran that can be killed. And Prabhupada also in this mentions that some people say that the animals doesn't have the soul, or they are like a dead stone. But if you see, even a animal has the feelings. When any animal gives birth to the babies, they protect them so much. They have so much of emotion and they become very much concerned. Few months back, I was sitting in our temple conference room, and in the false ceiling above that, the what do you call this? Squirrel. Squirrel comes and like it gives birth to the small babies. And they keep running inside that dug, 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 making sound, and also they start biting the false ceiling, and lot of this like no, and there is no
Hare Krishna devotees, I think there is a technical interruption again. Prabhuji will log in.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Sorry. So I was telling.
Squirrel, Prabhu.
I was telling about the squirrel. Yeah, that squirrel, I just saw in the next half an hour, the mother went out, searched for the squirrel, and again brought it back to the above the steps, and it went on the other side of the shade, what you see, the tin. I was wondering, my God, see that like even the squirrel is so much concerned about its baby. Then if they have so many things, how can they say that it doesn't have any emotions, or it is like a stone? It is not possible. So actually the people who say that it is like a stone, they have their heart is like the stone, that they cannot see the feelings of the people. So Srila Prabhupada used to tell this one story. In Calcutta, one day a father and son, they both goes to a place, and then there was a person who was a slaughter, so butcher. So he slaughters an animal, like cuts the head of the chicken, and the chicken starts flapping its wings and flying up and down, and it's really like out of pain. It is like flapping, and this one. And the father is looking at it and smiling. And the son, small son, becomes very much like a kind of fearful and about to cry. He's not able to bear the situation. Prabhupada used to tell that, see, he's the son only, but the feeling of both the people are different. Father is not feeling anything and he's so happy and like smiling, whereas the son is like feeling very pain. So the same way, like this, if you see the 4 regulative principles, it has a counterpart of it. For the animal killing, it is the mercy. If a person is killing the animal, then he cannot be merciful. And a merciful person, he cannot see the animal being killed, or in his heart that there will be a pain for the suffering souls. So that's why even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the shloka comes that in the third, like when the whole discussion comes of the holy name and this one, then in the steel-hearted, like the steel-framed heart is that which doesn't feel any emotions when the Krishna's name is being like taken. Whereas like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nayanam galadashrudaraya, like that my tears are rolling from my eyes. Like or when will that day happen when tears roll from my eyes and the hair stands on the end? That means when one feels for the, like when has those emotions, then immediately calling out Krishna's name, he goes into ecstasy and tears will roll from his eyes. So as Srila Prabhupada mentioning here in this purport, in terms of different kinds of hunting, we'll see from day-to-day life or in our own life, and based on the comparing it to the scriptures, how the hunting, what it gives rise to. Like people may hunt for the wealth, and that famous example we know that of the Duryodhana and the Pandavas. Duryodhana was not ready to even give the land which can come in the tip of the head of this one. That even when they were asked, like when he was asked that please give just 5 small king villages, that is sufficient, and you rule the remaining things, he was not ready for that. So, and to the extent of even Dhritarashtra, as his name suggests, he was so much attached to the kingdom that even after all his children are killed, still he is attached to the kingdom. He's not ready to let go. So, and even Vidura had to come and chastise him and to take him away, mentioning that, see, Dhritarashtra, you are such a person, you wanted to kill Bhima. When he comes to know that all his children are killed, then he wanted to embrace Bhima, and he goes that we know that how the statue was kept, and he crushes the statue. But the same Dhritarashtra, now he's staying in the house of Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas. And he says, you are staying like a dog. And those harsh words, or the strong words, not harsh, strong words, pierce the heart of Dhritarashtra, and he comes out of the home. In the same way, we can see that the Vidura, although he was so much hurt by the words of Duryodhana, but still he was feeling for Dhritarashtra. That's why all the way he comes back. Again, there was no need for him to come. He could have said, "Arey, get lost. No, he doesn't value me. Why should I go back?" But a person who is a soft-hearted person, he cannot see others in pain. Seeing that, he feels for it and he wants to help in whatever way possible. So the same way we can see that in terms of the hunting for the women, Ravana, when he possessed, wanted to have Mother Sita, she goes to the extent of he's seeing that his children are being killed, but he's not ready to give up. No, I want to have it. That is the his heart has become so hard. I'm losing, getting. Everybody is telling that you are going to lose, and he's seeing that his children are getting being killed, but still he is no, I want it. That is the what can happen to the the heart. And the same way, if you see the hunting for name, fame, prestige, this these are the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also used to tell this as a subtle sex. He says that this is one thing, is this is subtle, and this makes the heart, subtle things are much more difficult than removing the gross things. So that way this can go to any extent that one may not feel any feeling, only may not be left. Now we can see the in the Shastra how Vali and Sugriva, we know that when Sugriva comes back, he was so this one with the Vali that he is ready to kill him, he is ready to chase him away and wanted to enjoy his things also. And when one is hunting for this name, fame, prestige, pujala, pratishtha, he may not mind going to any extent. And one of the live example is that of we all know that the case of the hill temple, where one may not be able to see that it is by the mercy of my spiritual master that I have been given this service by which I was able to do this much, and then I should be grateful for it. And that only, that whole thing, heart may become so hard that one may not be having any feeling towards one's own guru or the mission. So this is when one is hunting for the name, fame, prestige. And also one may when one is this, in terms of the hunting, what the hunting does is, hunting causes pain for the the other person. So the same way, one way of hunting is for one's own pleasure, and sometimes knowingly or unknowingly this one's action may also the hurt. Here the action of releasing the arrow causes the pain to the animal. The same way, sometimes one's arrows in the form of the words can become the cause of other people's the pain, speaking harshly or in a hurting way. So especially when it comes to the Vaishnava circle, the gross form of this, what hunting for the external things may not be there much, in terms of the hunting for the women or the wealth or something. But certainly there may be this one for hunting for name, fame, prestige, pujala, pratishtha, and for the followers. That may be there. How can I have more people, or how can I have some name, or I want to be this. So that way one may be that may come in the heart, because none of us are pure devotees and all of us have the anarthas. And when this creeps in, one may not see how my actions or the activities is hurting the other person, or one may become insensitive to the other's feeling. And as Prabhupada here is saying that the laws of nature is so stringent that knowingly or unknowingly, whatever one does, the fire burns, either the child or a elderly person. And sometimes one's way of speaking can be such that it can hurt the other person. And especially being the devotees, we should be really very careful about how we speak or how we present. Sometimes we may not have that wrong attitude or wrong motive, but whether motive is good or bad, how we speak also matters. It's not just the intention. Like the intention may be good, but the action also has to be good. Otherwise, it can hurt a person. Like no, I remember previous to lockdown and all, just very close, maybe 100-200 meters from our temple, there was one very elderly person, maybe 75, 80, nearly 80 plus. Every day he would come for the darshan. He would come, take darshan, and just like he was not able to offer obeisance, so he just would bend down and take darshan and go. Very simple, very elderly, respectable, noble soul. And one day he happened to take little prasad or something, and he could not take it, maybe because of whatever reason, either it was spicy or something. And one devotee, he spoke little harshly. How can you you're so elderly and how you are wasting this or something? And that was the last day this elderly person came to the temple. After that, we never saw. We just heard from some devotees that this incident happened. Although that devotee may not have wrong motive in terms of that, he didn't want to hurt him or something. His concern was, how can you waste prasadam? That may be true, but how we present also matters. Otherwise, those the words that can hurt more than even the arrows also, because the arrow may hurt the body and the wound may get healed in very short time, but the words can cut the heart, and that scar cannot go away. Many times it will remain throughout the life. So that's why it's very important, especially when we are dealing with the devotees, and also when we are outsiders come, how we deal. Sometimes, in case if somebody comes and the prasadam or anything, the way we speak, if we are insensitive, then that may hurt them. And that way, although they have come to the shelter of Srila Prabhupada and to the temple, and one's way of dealing may stop them from coming. So that's why here also Prabhupada is telling in the going ahead in the purport of that when a person is doing these things, exploitation is happening in so many ways. A saintly person feels pain for it, and he wants to do something for this one. So even the Shastras, they say that the 5 things are prohibited in this age. That is Ashwamedha Gavalambha, Sannyasa Palapaitrikam, Devarene Sutotpati, Kalo Pancha Vivarjayet. Ashwamedha Yajna, then or the offering sacrifice of the cow, or sannyasa, or offering meat to the forefathers, and Devarena Sudotpati in case of from the husband is not there, from husband's brother getting the child. These are not allowed. Pancha Vivarjayet in the Kali Yuga. So, but however, in the Vedic times also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to Kazi that why this killing of the animals or that comes is not for the sake of one's sense gratification, but it is to check the efficacy of the yajna, and also the animal would get the higher birth. That is the reason. When one doesn't understand the exact reason behind it, one may misunderstand it and apply it in a wrong way. So that way, Srila Prabhupada says that when the devotees, they saw this such things happening, they cannot tolerate. They want to do something and help somebody. That's what we see in the case of Mrigari also. Narada Muni, when he saw that the animals are half killed and half dead, he could not see that pain. And immediately he tried to revive them. And not only revive them, Narada Muni did not go and he anyways revived the animals. And after that, Arey, you fool, you don't know what happens by killing them? And he didn't chastise him or he didn't scold him. But Narada Muni is so in different situations, if we see, he is such a perfect preacher, such a teacher for all of us, that how we should deal. Everything is not the same way have to be dealt. Like no, depending upon the time, place, circumstances, he deals in a different way. When it comes to Mrigari, he didn't say that, hey, don't kill or stop killing. He said, why are you like no, killing half? Kill it completely. Because he understood this fellow will not understand if I tell like no, don't kill. And then Mrigari, the same person who was killing the animal by the association of Narad Muni and by following the teaching what was given by Narad Muni, later he went on to become such soft-hearted or such a genuine Vaishnava that he even didn't want to hurt even the ant. Whereas voluntarily killing, and now unknowingly also he doesn't want to harm them. That is the kind of transformation of the heart which can happen. And that transformation of the heart of such hard-hearted people can happen when they come in touch with the devotees. Because devotees, when they see that, like no matter what, I want to make an attempt to help him. Otherwise, he'll go to the hell. That's why a Vaishnava naturally feels for the pain of the others, paradukha dukhi. And when he sees that the other people are suffering in this material world, then he feels for it and he wants to tell them, please give up this tendency for grabbing or having things of this world. This will never ever make us happy. So only way to be really happy is to take to bhakti. And then he goes on to tell about the glories of the Lord and glories of the holy name, and he wants to give them the bhakti. That was Srila Prabhupada also. We see that how many difficulties he had to undergo. But seeing the people who are suffering because of the lack of this Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada was ready to take those sufferings. And if we just go back few decades back, when he met the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for the very first time, that time he also put forward that independence is very much important, whereas Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that how independence is not this one, that we are misidentifying with the body, and then because of that misidentification we want to gratify the senses of this body, and that is leading to all this war and other things or subjugation. When one is on the platform of the soul, then he sees everyone in relationship with Krishna and he doesn't want to harm anyone or he doesn't want to take away the property of the other person. And in that case also, Prabhupada's association with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur completely transformed the heart. The same way, whatever may be the sinful person one may be, Prabhupada also writes in this verse, second verse, however sinful person may be, if he receives knowledge from proper spiritual master and repents his past activities in his sinful life and stops them, he immediately becomes eligible to return home back to God. At the very example is that of the Achamila. Although he had done so many sinful activities, by chanting the holy name, he becomes so much and repents. He repents, alas, what did I do? Because of which, just in that lifetime, he could go back to the spiritual world. And this is made possible just by following the rules and regulations given by the Shastra and following one of its spiritual masters. Srila Prabhupada also, in this, if you read this, especially the last para, Prabhupada's heart of how we should preach, seeing the people who are suffering in this material world, we cannot allow them to do this. Just like if some of our own family members, if they are undergoing pain, we cannot bear it. It pinches our heart. The same way when we are able to see that all the living entities are children of Krishna, and when others are seeing, then we feel for them and then we think, how can we do it? Or what can we do for them? And just like Narad Muni, we cannot just go and give philosophy to everyone. People may not be ready to listen. So I just was happened to hear one of the lectures of one of Maharaj, and that Maharaj was saying that how people may not be able to accept the philosophy directly, but easy way to do is give them prasad. By taking prasadam, slowly they get purified, and eventually they may come to a stage of hearing the philosophy. And that is, and some people who are ready to hear philosophy, you can give them philosophy, or some people who are ready to follow some rituals, we can call them for the Damodar month or something. But yenakena prakarena, whatever way it takes to make them devotees or bring them to Krishna consciousness, that's what can make them happy. And by that Krishna will become happy, and all our acharyas will also become happy. I'll just how Srila Prabhupada's this books can have transformation in the heart of the people. I'll just tell one this incident and I'll pause for today. Because the Saturday is Bhadra Purnima, and Prabhupada used to tell, if somebody can read one book or one page, one para or one line or one word, they'll get benefited. This happened in Russia. As we are discussing about the slaughterhouse, this also related to slaughterhouse. In the slaughterhouse, people are paid as per number of animals they slaughter on particular day or whatever it is. There is one slaughterhouse, big slaughterhouse, and there the canteen was there, and a person who is in the break, he comes there and he wanted to eat something. He comes, sits there, and he was given the tea and some snacks in a paper. And he sees the paper and he becomes intrigued, in the science, because he becomes curious to see that the paper is in English, something is written. It's not Russian. Out of curiosity, while eating, he starts reading. He reads one line, two lines. He feels that something attracts him. He reads the front and back page. Immediately, he asks the person who is there in the shop, "Where did you get this sheet? Can you tell me? I want to read this more." Then that person said, "I don't know. Few people were passing by and they were singing something and they were going this way." And this person was in the apron, bloodshed, all the blood stains. He runs, and people who are seeing in the road, they are what is this? What happened to this person running like this? And he goes and he sees at a distance the devotees are doing kirtan, and he goes to them, and devotees also become very much uneasy to see this person in this way. And he says, "I got this one page. Do you have anything more of this?" And one devotee gives him one book. And before this whole thing, how this incident happened was that, this devotee, this person, he had read the book and he had become devotee and he had come to Srirangam. And in the Srirangam, he was going to different temples. And when he was darshan was being given, tears were rolling from his eyes when he came to the Jagannath Baldev Subhadra temple, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had personally carved. And the devotee, the Sri Vaishnava who was just showing them, he said that, "I'm really feeling great, this one, that although I have been born in Srirangam and brought up, and by birth I'm a Vaishnava, but still I don't have that much of feeling like what you have towards the Lord, that you are seeing the Lord and taking darshan, you are so happy, joyful that tears are rolling." Then immediately this devotee said, "Please, if at all you want to glorify Srila Prabhupada, by whose mercy, I'm in this. If you hear my previous story, you will really spit at me." And then he said that how I was a butcher, I was in the slaughterhouse, and I just happened to this. And that one page had transformed his life, and he had read and he had given it to one of his close friends, and these two families had come to Srirangam. So that is this one, because Srila Prabhupada, while writing this purpose, he was feeling for the pain of the conditioned soul, that hearing or reading those words, that the Srila Prabhupada's causeless mercy can encompass all of them, and then their hearts can get transformed. So the same way, if we can also be taking shelter of the Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and also be careful of not hurting others by our like no, either through the words or the actions which may cause pain to them. That way we can also and also more than that, along with this, we have to like no, preach. And especially when we preach, we become more sensitive. How is it is that till the time anyone doesn't become parent, they will not know, they may not feel that much for the children or the other people. When they become parents, that time even the child little bit cries or makes sound or anything, they become so much, hey, this may be there, that may be there. I had seen in one of my distant relative, like one of the cousins, he was very kind of jolly, like no, or chalta hai kind of, not very concerned or about anything. But when he got married and he had a small baby, he had come to another function, and I saw that whole night he didn't sleep because there were few mosquitoes, and whole night he was sitting and like no, it was in the function this one, so there were no much facilities. He was fanning him with some paper or something. So that way, like no, when we preach, when the new people are coming, and then we become more careful that how my action should not make him feel pain, and how I should be very careful in dealing with them. So that way, Krishna also will become happy, which Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita. Nachatasmat manushesha kaschinne priyakruttama. So that way, all our acharyas also will become priest. So these were few thoughts or points which came to my mind. If anybody would like to give any feedback or comments, I'm open. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Swayam Prakash Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for wonderful and heartfelt narration and the realization and other what you hear from other seniors was really very nice, Prabhuji. I'd like to request the devotees unmute their line so that they can share their reflections or questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, I did not catch that Sri Vaishnava Brahmin, that story. Can you please repeat it?
Actually, like the two devotees from Russia, they had come to Srirangam and they were taking darshan, going to different places. And when they came to Jagannath temple, here they were taking darshan, and this devotee, he was everywhere, he was so joyful and grateful for the opportunity being given. Tears were rolling from his eyes out of joy. And this Sri Vaishnava asked, Are, I am born and brought up here. I should have that much affection for the Lord, but I don't have that much, the amount what you have. So he was glorifying this Western devotee. And the Western devotee said, if at all you want to glorify Srila Prabhupada, because of his teachings and because of him, it has become what I am today. And then he narrated his previous life, that how he was a butcher killing the animals and what transformed his heart and life, that he had mentioned. So
thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for a wonderful class. You brought out very nicely the point about killing of animals, and you explained very nicely about the hunting is not only for animals but for various wealth, women, name, fame. It's very, very important. That the subtle things are even more. Actually, we commit. At least I would say it's very easy to commit those mistakes than the other ones. Once you take the spiritual path, you think how you've won over many things, but there are many more things to actually to just make sure be what you call more sensitive to that, and follow that, so that and trying to avoid those. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I think I just want to mention about the importance of avoiding the subtle or following the subtle regulative principles. So I think gross regulative principles, we were able to get rid of with the devotee's mercy. But for subtle offenses or subtle principles, I think we have to make a lot of effort so that we are not driving anybody away from Krishna consciousness. Because each and everybody who is coming to temple, they are all guests of Jagannath, and by Prabhupada's mercy, they come to the temple. But unknowingly, even if we commit a minor offense like what you mentioned, they will be kept away from Krishna consciousness for lifetime. So, thank you, Prabhuji. That was a wonderful example on how careful we should be. I think that's very, very important.
So that's why, like now, our Acharyas also through this one, they show that how this one incident really very, when I heard, I touched my heart that how the great souls, they don't hear just the philosophy, but they follow. This in the life of Pejavar Shri, like now, Vishweshatirtha Swami, who passed away last year. So one day he was sitting and having his prasadam in the Udupi. At that time, like one cat passed away. What cat came nearby? So one devotee, as usual, he said, like was chasing it away. Shh, shh. Then the Swamiji said, wait, call it, like now give it little prasad. And this devotee was also shocked. Then he went and he got something in some donna and then gave. Then later he was telling, see, we should be very careful how we deal with like now anybody, because we don't know this. It may be in the form of the cat, but that may be some like now demigod who has come in this form to test us. Because we see in the case of who was that king? Rantidev. In case of the Rantidev, so many different devatas, they came in disguise of a like a what do you call that? As a dog eater and Chandala or the dogs, just to test him. The same way we don't know which devata or when they will come in what form. So really we should be very careful in the way of dealing. When I heard this, I was really amazed to see that how they see even the like now we may also not like sometimes dogs are there. I also have thrown the stone or something. Then how we should do it? Not that like no respect the way we respect the devotees, but at the same time respectfully do the needful. So that was really very touching to have. Just thought of sharing.
Hare Krishna devotees. Prabhuji, there are a couple of comments. I will just read it out. Venkatramana Reddy Prabhu has shared his comment. A very wonderful class with daily life examples. Prabhuji, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. And Saraswati Mataji has mentioned Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Thank you very much for a very nice class. Subtle hunting is really eye-opening. Thank you, devotees. If there are no questions, you can end the session with Vaishnava Pranam. Prabhuji, thank you very much again for sharing what you heard and also your realizations. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindho vyayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Natakoti Vaishnavardha ki jai.
I got Premananda ki Hari Hari Bol.
I'll end the Zoom session. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.